Now you see why I keep talking about Dennis Schroeder. You're right, I called it. I told you. Dennis Schroeder and Luka Doncic, those two, there's no surprise. This goes beyond the NBA. I told you. Now, because I told you, and I know I did, we arrive here today. And what we arrive to is a precipice point where we're going to showcase why this is really taking place. There's not too many people really have tapped into it. And Dennis Schroeder was suspended 3 games by the NBA for trying to swing on Luka Doncic after the game by the locker room. And 3 game suspension for that? That's steep. And we'll get into it. Drop the intro.
Hi, I'm Carcino.
Oh, let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world. And I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. And calling it sick. I used to go to work sick, determined to push myself to go to work sick. Because if I'm going to be sick, I'd rather be at work getting paid for it. Here's the thing, though. During this game, Dennis Schroeder is going up against the Lakers and Luka Doncic. Now, all of this is going on, this talk, right? Then, and he told me, meet me in the back. I'm not the guy you're going to talk to like that. Meet me in the back, homie. And he's like, I'm going to beat the shit out you. He was dead serious. And he's telling the coach, he's talking too much. I love it. This goes back to 2022 in the EuroBasket tournament. That's when this beef all started. Now, everybody can tell you any pretty little story that come to their head. But that's where it all took place. I know dude said, you remind me of Diamond on Power. The other day, because I had on a hoodie. Yo, Tommy. How is this going to work, Tommy? Nah. Oh, I'm sorry, Jersey 8. I don't do that. I was going live regardless. I went live throughout the entire day. It's just that you can't, it's so many people in there. There's no signal to go live really in that place. You try to go live or stream out of there, you're going to just be pixelated. But they cheated for y'all. I'm glad. Yeah, they cheated for y'all to beat Portland. Because y'all, without cheating, y'all would have won that game. Now, let's get back to Luka, please. So, back in the Euro leagues, you know, Dennis Schroeder plays for Germany, and Slovenia is Luka Doncic. These two had a different energy coming into the place. But what really pissed Dennis Schroeder off was the fact that Luka Doncic had the audacity to mention his contract and his money and talking about you got to get your money up. That's what it was really about. And then he was trying to joke, telling him, oh, you should have signed the deal.
started with trash talk all game, Luka clowning him about that contract he turned down. Then after the final buzzer, Schroeder snapped, chased Luka into the tunnel, yelling, "You can't call me out on the court," and walk away before DeAndre Ayton grabbed him and security rushed in, and now Schroeder is suspended 3 games without pay. But the Luka beef just got very real. Did Dennis Schroeder really try to fight Luka Doncic?
Absolutely, he did. You gonna mention his contract? You gonna mention his contract on the floor, and then talk about how he needs to get his money up.
In a league full.
Did Dennis Schroeder really try to
over there joking? Yeah, he wasn't joking. Well, he's talking about the $84 million contract and telling him he needs to sign the deal, and he should have signed the contract. Like, you should have signed the contract. That's on you.
Dennis Schroeder attempted to beat up Luka Doncic 40 minutes after the Lakers played the Kings, so the NBA suspended Schroeder 3 games without pay for confronting and attempting to strike a player 40 minutes after the Kings lost to the Lakers on December 28th, and now we're hearing that Luka Doncic was the player that Dennis Schroeder sought out in the hallway for a confrontation after they played on December 28th. Dennis Schroeder attempted to beat up Luka Doncic 40.
And he was going to beat Luka up too. Now, I keep telling you, this is why I like Dennis Schroeder. He don't take any disrespect. When a little kid tried to disrespect Ben Simmons, who was the first guy to come back and say, who talking something to Ben? Who said something? He about to whoop the kid up. Dennis Schroeder is the right guy. No disrespect is going to be tolerated. None. You can't come on the court and disrespect. Now, another person that understands this is another person that is, who's a role player, but he was a player that he felt like respect should have been, delivered. And he understand it, being a player in this league. It's like, you can't say stuff on the court and just think you're supposed to get away with it because you who you are.
Should have signed that contract, baby. Lost a lot of money. Actual timeline of events unclear. Maybe later in the game. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Talk. You're going to do something. Yes. Rui, gently. Go on. Go that way. There we go. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. I'm not playing. Just you wait. Whatever he actually says, this lady hears it. It's like, are we okay with this? Based on the Lakers' reactions, they're loving it. What is wrong with him? Stop it. Schroeder, huh? He's crazy, bro. Should have signed that contract, baby. Lost a lot of money. Actual timeline of.
And once he told him that, it was up. Should have signed that contract, baby. Like, who are you talking to? That's what I'm like. Who are you talking to? That's Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, it's up. Now, here are the facts, people. This contract rumor has been going on his entire career. He's actually come back and played for the Lakers again since then. So since that incident where they didn't sign him, he came back to the team and played with LeBron again. So the fact is, they keep bringing this up, and here's the thing about the contract. Like, the rumor was the Lakers offered Dennis Schroeder an $84 million contract, and he said it's not enough because he wanted a $100 million deal. It was a low ball offer. Okay, let's get that addressed right now. It was a low ball offer for what he was supposed to get. The Lakers wanted to sign him and lock him up in a deal. He was playing out of this world, and that's what they wanted from him. So the rumor is he turned down the deal. They were going to negotiate at the end of the year. But he never turned down the deal because here's the truth. The Lakers never offered him the deal. There was never a deal in place. This is like somebody saying, hey, man, I'm going to sign you. And I'm going to give you like $60 million. Yeah, so when we sit down, man, we're going to lock you in for 60. All right. They never had a contract written out. They never sat down with his agent and said, all right, come on, let's sit down and see what Dennis wants. They never did any of this because they were talking this at the beginning of the year. Like, this is what we're looking to give you. And they was like, oh, he turned the deal down. So I turned it down. There was never an offer. There's never a contract in front of me to turn down. They never sat down with my agent and we sitting there negotiating. Oh, I want 100. No, they give me 84. They was talking 84. Like, yeah, we were looking around 84 million and all that, but we're going to sit down at the end of the year, talk it out. About the time it got to the end of the year, they were not going to re-sign Dennis Schroeder. Him and LeBron was not seeing eye to eye at the time. So early in the season, when he was talking all that contract talk, Dennis was playing out of this world. By the time the end of the season, him and LeBron wasn't seeing eye to eye. So LeBron was on the court saying, don't pass that motherfucker the ball. I gave it to you. You shoot. Don't give it to Dennis Schroeder. Absolutely. Now, when people go into all of the problems and what transpired between the two, it's a little bit different. It goes back to 2022 with those two. With Dennis the Menace, translation, he wasn't going to bend a knee to LeBron. Exactly. So to see him come back to the Lakers was a shock, but he was good. So they was like, we need Dennis Schroeder back. So to see him go back, him and LeBron have definitely worked out whatever problems. Then they problems happen again. Dennis is out of there again. So, but everybody keeps throwing that in his face because to ruin him in negotiations, the Lakers organization and everybody else, mostly Clutch Sports, kept leaking out. Dennis Schroeder turned down an $84 million deal. Dennis Schroeder turned down an $84 million deal. It's like, why they keep pushing that narrative when that's not the truth? So it just shows you the politics. So they dirtied the market up, and he couldn't even get the money he deserved. And he signed for a 1-year deal somewhere because people didn't want to, like, oh, he ain't going to get that money. He turned down $84 million. Who does Dennis Schroeder think he is? It was sabotage. All because he stood up to LeBron. But here's the notion right here. Of course, he flexing on him. So all of this went down. Dennis fouls him at the end of the game, fouled his teammate. He ready to kick it off and fired up. And they like, dude, what are you doing? You about to call it an international war. Dennis Schroeder just came over and hard fouled him. because he want to kick it off. He's tired that they got all the calls. They didn't get any calls. And Luka like, man, dude, what you doing? Calm down. Calm down. He was like, man, get your hands off me. And he's calmed down, man. Don't get so crazy. But that's the name of the game for him. It's crazy. Dennis has always been crazy. So Dennis Schroeder is nuts. I told people he crazy. But he's perfect for what they trying to do and bring into existence. But you got to understand something, people. You got to understand there's key effects here. And the key effect is that Luka Doncic represents what the NBA is today. You see, Luka Doncic represents no, he's not Joe Ingles now. Joe Ingles was one of the best outside shooters there was, but Luka had all around game, he could go in and bang and be physical. Joe couldn't really do that to that extent. That's why other players respect what he did.
What any real one with a backbone would do. Staying back 40 minutes after the buzzer, that don't make him a villain, bro. That makes him authentic. He ain't playing that fake game. He ain't letting shit slide just because the camera's off. The NBA world out here just looking at the stats, right? Points, assists, rebounds, all that box score stuff. But they forget, bro, under that jersey is a real dude with pride, with self-respect. You feel me? That night against the Lakers, man, that wasn't just basketball. When a dude out there mocking your hustle, disrespecting your whole journey, what you supposed to just stay quiet? Nah, hell nah. Everybody talking about the 3-game suspension, lost money, all that. But for Dennis, this ain't about the checks, man. It's about sending a message. Showing everybody that when you rocking that Sacramento Kings jersey, you don't back down for nobody, period. The suspension going in. The money going to come back eventually. But that respect he demanded that night, man, that lasts forever. That confrontation, that wasn't no heat of the moment mistake. That was a stand, a straight up stand against trash talk that went too far. He stood up for himself, stood up for his team's respect. Stay strong, Dennis. Real ones know what's up. Respect got to be earned. It ain't just given. You hear me?
Mm-hmm. And that's what I said. Other players respect what he did. He ain't finna bow down because he the face of the league. But you got to understand, you got a 3-game suspension without even landing a punch on Luka Doncic because he's the franchise. You could have swung on LeBron and probably got a game. You swing on Luka Doncic? You trying to swing on Luka? Oh, they gonna send a message to you. 3 games is just, that's the warning. The Knicks will be 25. That's funny. You calling Luka the king. That's funny. So oh well, they all know what's going on. Yeah, they know it already. Yeah, Dennis is a great player. That's why when you get that magnet ball crap out of here and they put that ball out and you get to see who's who. Then you start to understand what's really going on out there. No, they didn't. They didn't expect that. You see, that's the current dynamics. So after they got eliminated, right? They had an epic showdown. Yeah, it was World Cup. Dennis Schroeder ended up playing them in the World Cup. So remember, they won the previous year against them, and he did the flex, all that flexing, right? The next year, Dennis Schroeder comes back, not playing around. And see, that's what the NBA don't want you to see. They don't want you to see that because that's what caused all of the mess anyway. His dominance. They don't want you to see Dennis Schroeder be great because that's not what's marketable to them. They can care less about him being great. That's not marketable to them. That's why I said they had this beef. No, Dirk Nowitzki is the reason that they were even cool in the first place. He loved Dennis Schroeder because as a player, Dennis Schroeder and him were really cool. And that's why he was like, man, you're cool with So Dennis Schroeder is a legend in Germany. Worldwide basketball. That's when you can call yourself world champions. Now, why don't the NBA want to focus on the talent that they got in the league that could actually play? This is what we talk about: natural talent versus manufactured talent. Thank you, T. You see, thank you for giving us Ben Johnson. We appreciate it. We'll show y'all how it's done. Yeah, this city went crazy. Yeah, we'll show y'all how to. I told you we strip mine Detroit, took all their coaches, and that team just wasn't the same no more. Their offensive scheme looks terrible. They strip mine Detroit. So Dennis Schroeder doesn't like Luka on that perspective. It's not like there's a real beef, but he ain't been baptized yet. You know what I'm saying? He ain't had no real fights in the league. If you're gonna talk that, you got to be able to take what comes along with that. And Luka gonna have to. You just can't. You got to know that you just can't run your mouth in this league because you, the superstar. You got to be ready to toe that line when somebody coming to swing on you. You better be coming to meet them. You can't have somebody come grab you. Now, we haven't had an incident like this since Chris Paul gets suspended for trying to fight Clippers. Yeah, you remember Chris Paul getting suspended for fighting the Clippers? Well, he should have been suspended. And he didn't get suspended when he tried to go in the back. When he was on the Rockets, he tried to go behind the back and fight the Clippers. I know. I didn't even see the game because I watched the Bears game. I went back and watched the Pistons game. I said, man, we almost won that game, and we was taking the night off. We was taking the night off. It was like they gave everybody the night off, dog. And everybody was so excited. Yeah, they was gonna jump Blake Griffin and take the secret tunnel way to go into the Clippers locker room. And Chris Paul knew how to get there. And he gonna drag the other players in there to go try to jump and press Blake Griffin. That's the only other time I remember that, besides the Honey Nut Cheerio thing with Carmelo waiting at the bus. Mm. No. They didn't understand the dynamics of what was going on. You know, when you have different scenarios going on and different agendas, things play out a little different. Mm-mm. Hell no. They didn't want no smoke. Who snitched? The Lakers are a snitching organization. Crybaby ass, probably LeBron them leaked this out. This happened on Christmas. Nobody knew about it. I told them what was going on. Like, I told them this was going to happen without a fraction of a doubt. This is really Germany versus Serbia. Exactly. See, I be telling Trey all the time, he don't listen. I told them, you talk about Dennis Schroeder. You hate the Knicks because of Dennis Schroeder. No, Dennis Schroeder is the kind of player you need on your team, on any team. Dennis the Menace is great. I keep telling him I'll take 30 of him before I take Butterball. He's a real hooper. a real player. Butterball is manufactured. Isaiah Thomas was really talking about Jalen Brunson in that interview. When he sat down and was having that interview, Isaiah Thomas was telling you about Jalen Brunson. He was telling you, yeah, Kyrie Irving. Now, that's a bad boy. Now, he could have probably played in our era. But these other guys they pump up and they say they this and all that. They okay. They okay. Jalen Brunson wouldn't have been able to play in no 80s and 90s. You see what I'm saying? I knew exactly who he was talking about. No, Isaiah praised Cade all the time. So he wasn't talking about Cade. He wasn't talking about him. Dude, there is no way, shape, or form Jalen Brunson is better than Dennis Schroeder and nothing basketball. You saw that when Dennis Schroeder went and represented the United States, right? And they went over there and played against Germany. And Dennis Schroeder, they just embarrassed him. And it was like, where's this Brunson guy we heard so much about? And you saw Dennis Schroeder just have no problem busting Jalen Brunson's ass. As this bum couldn't even get shots off. Every shot he had was blocked. See what happened when there's no magnet ball, that NBA flop they don't call over there. Yeah, that stuff ain't working, bro. You gotta be able to hoop. You gotta really play to survive here. There's no manufactured crap here. And you saw they didn't bring his fat ass back when they did the team again. Because they knew. Brunson was Mr. Basketball in Illinois, though, and kept losing. Dog, he kept losing because when he don't play anybody, he went out here. Okay, he's in here playing in a whole different conference. When they go state and they got to play the Simeons, that's when he get his ass whooped. And he only scored 1 point in the second half. You know, see, that's when they had Jabari Parker and stuff on the team. And they was able to treat Butterball exactly like what he is. And them inner city dudes, he couldn't guard no damn body. But out here, he's playing nothing but white boys. So after the Parkers and them went and left Simeon, and they had nothing but a weak team, they let Jalen Brunson be the guy he is. And of course, he played at a place that don't nobody care about their basketball program. That's why he wasn't highly scouted. So when he went to college, he went to Villanova. Right, he came up the AAU route. All right, Jalen Brunson is a garbage pail man. Like, you give him a pail and a bucket and say, go on out there, man. Go on, see what you want to do. Garbage pail man. That's what I call him, the garbage pail man. And you give him a bucket and a shovel and you let him go out there and dig in the sand. That's what he is, doing what he can do to try to help the team. Yeah, Dennis Schroeder has with his energy level rubs teams the wrong way. Like, eventually he gonna call out teammates who ain't doing what they supposed to do. They ain't gonna like it. Right. He's a bucket and a shovel guy. His former teammate is a massage therapist that works up there at Stretch Lab. He stretched people for a living now. That was his former teammate. And then his whole thing is, all right, let me go ahead and tell people what's what. So they go up there and start telling people what they feel the people should know, right? No, I mean, he developed, and it's a lot of players that developed into being great players. They didn't win a national championship because of Jalen Brunson. That didn't happen. He was a player on the team that contributed, but it wasn't because of Jalen Brunson. So he stretched Brunson too. No, he was the three-point shooter on the team. And he told me flat out, he was like, Jalen Brunson can't shoot threes. He said he couldn't. He's like, so to see him now be this three-point guy is shocking. He was mid-range. He was a mid-range guy. So he always thought that he would be a guy that could come off the bench, help the team with the second unit, and he always thought that would be his role in the NBA. He never thought he was going to be a starter because of his height and everything. So he was like, look, I could be a good guy, come off the bench. So, when he came in the league for the Mavs, it was, okay, I'm going to work off the bench and come in and help out and learn how to play with Luka, and where he likes the ball and, where I can play off the ball. I'll switch to the two, and that was it. That was pretty much his game. Jason Kidd was like, okay, you're going to help Luka because you could bring the ball up. So we're going to have you bring the ball up, find Luka, and y'all could be the future backcourt, down the road. He was like, I'm thinking y'all could be like Steph and Clay. That's what he was thinking when he had Luka and Jalen Brunson. But what he found out was that Brunson is at a complete disadvantage on pick and rolls, and he's too small. So he needed a taller guard. So this is why they offered him a contract to stay, but it was so low that he knew he can get more money leaving. Plus, he was going to leave anyway. He's going to the Knicks. It was all set up for Brunson to go there. That time when Luka was hurt and he had that run where they made it to the next round and he was putting up 30 and all that stuff, that was all he needed to do to showcase himself leaving. Yep, that's what made Brunson, and they said, all right, we could use this guy. So he went to the Knicks. Nobody expect nothing from the Knicks anyway. So he could just go over there, shoot 30, 40 times a night, or nobody care because he's lighting it up. And they was like, man, we got this Brunson, man. He's scoring points. And then there we go. We got Leon Rose. They turning the Knicks around. And there was this whole revamping of the Knicks. So we knew what was going to happen once Dolan decided to take a step back from the spotlight because there was too much controversy with Dolan. And the fans wanted Dolan to sell the team. And so finally, as soon as Leon Rose get there, all of a sudden everything changes for the Knicks. The whole NBA attitude towards the Knicks change, everything. So it's not rocket science to see that they're being carried. They're not a really good team. They got a lot of pieces, but they don't utilize the pieces. Because you can't do it when your point guard wants to shoot 40 times a night. It's not winning basketball. Eventually, you're going to fold. They put his face on the Jay-Z album. Yeah, I saw that. They even selling those T-shirts because that's what you got to look at New York, right? They talk like they won 65 championships, but when they lose one game, they run. Now they had lost 5 out of 6 games, 5 out of their last 6. They lucky to be only in third. They lucky to still just like be holding on to a third place spot. Well, against the teams you're supposed to be vying against, like the 76ers, the Pistons, those are the games, the Celtics. You've had some ugly losses in this, and Outlaw talking about the season starts now, and since he said the season started, they just been losing, consistently losing. Oh, it's all lies. Look, man, they know what's up. It's all lies. That's why you can't trust. That's why you can't trust anything that's going on with the NBA and the media because they all have an agenda. And once you don't go with the agenda, they rip you apart. They tear you all the way down. So to go ahead and say, okay, this is the dynamic of what I want to do. This is how I want this to play out. This is how these players, these are the ones we want to promote. Jalen Brunson going to be the star no matter what because he's the face of the Knicks and we need the Knicks to do something. So they push that agenda. When you get yourself caught in the mix of what everybody else wants you to be, basically different from what you want it to be, it changes. Everybody got selective outrage. The same thing happened to somebody else, they don't say anything. But if it happens to somebody they like, then they open their big mouth and decide to talk about it. All the woke stuff, all that crazy and selective outrage. That's all it is. My thing is, if you gonna dish it, take it. If the Knicks win one damn game against a team they supposed to beat, the Portland damn Trailblazers, stop coming out glazing them like they world beaters. When it's showing you, when they showing you it's nothing, and it means nothing because they have nothing else on the table. So now we got to get rid of the Rams. No problem. No one cares. You see that narrative that you just spoke about? Nobody cares. Luka Doncic got to know, if you're going to talk shit on the court, don't think everybody's just going to be cool. Somebody might step to you and try to swing on you. And you got to be able to back it up. You got to back up that energy. Michael Jordan used to go on shows and talk about Lambert. He was on Arsenio Hall show hating on Lambert. Yeah. There's a lot of no, there's always going to be a dynamic. There's always going to be a different dynamic with that. Dennis Schroeder can hoop. He's a real baller. Don't need a magnet ball. He don't need any of that shit. Jalen Brunson is manufactured. You know, they're pushing this role player into a superstar position because the NBA needs stars in each team. Because back in the 80s and 90s, each team had a star. They had a star player on their team, you know. You had Barkley with the 76ers, Jordan on the Bulls, Ewing on the Knicks. You know, everybody had their own star on their team. And the Knicks don't have a star. They have a bunch of role players. But now they got to make them stars. You know, Brunson, he's the star. And, you know, it's manufactured. Cade is manufactured. Where was he drafted? Well, where was Brunson drafted? Cade was drafted very highly, touted to be a superstar. His progression has come along the way it's supposed to be, where his talent level is going up. Brunson has already plateaued into what he's going to be, limited. Yeah, so he's already plateaued. Oh, they sent me some guy about LeBron. That's funny. Yeah, I got to get ready to jump on this conference call. So I got 3 minutes to get over there. I really hate these bullshit conference calls. Nothing comes out of them. But I'm going to make sure they get something out of this one. I'm going to cut some people out. So I'm going to hit y'all up a little later. We'll chop it up. Yeah, well, the Knicks gonna play a game again when we go live. Don't be afraid, Jersey A. Pop on up. Rep your Knicks. See, win or loss, you got to stand down. Can't run and hide. Can't run and hide. I'll be like, why you ain't go live when we beat Portland? Portland? Really? Y'all all afraid. That's why y'all all disappear. There's no Knicks people around at all when they lose. But all right, we'll chop it up later.